Okay, so we talked about watches, we talked about warnings. Well, how you act toward a watch is going to be really different from how you act or react to a warning. When a tornado watch is in effect for your area, hopefully you are getting informed about what's going on, watching for updates, keeping track of the weather. But when a warning is issued, that is not the time to be doing that type of thing. Hopefully you are taking action based on that warning. And I wanted to show you an example of what a tornado warning would look like. And in essence, the first thing that we're going to tell you at a specific moment in time, 1:47 p.m. in this example, where the potential tornado was located. Okay, obviously this is an estimation of where we think that circulation might be. We're giving you a direction of movement and a speed at that particular moment in time, keeping in mind that tornadoes can and will slow down, speed up, and change direction a little bit. For a visual representation of the warning, here is the actual warning box, this red box. If you are anywhere within this warning box, you are under the gun for this particular storm. On this particular day, the box was fairly large. But remember, we have a storm that's moving east at 50 miles an hour. Not a lot of time to keep up with the storm when it's moving that fast. Something else within the body of the warning that you should be taking a look at, obviously the hazard is important. What is the source? Is it a Doppler radar indicated tornado? Or do we have spotters that are out there witnessing funnel clouds, witnessing tornadoes? If weather spotters are reporting funnel clouds, that means that a tornado could touch down at any moment. Also, keep an eye out for locations. Keep in mind that we can't simply list every single community in town that might be within this red warning box. It's nearly impossible. So just because you don't see or hear your particular town being listed, make sure you look at the visual representation of the warning box itself and see if you are actually in the warning. If you are, then it's definitely a time to take action. One of the main tools that a spotter can utilize to help protect themselves from severe weather is a NOAA weather radio. NOAA weather radio is broadcast out of our office 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we know with all of the apps for the phones and different alert systems that can be traced back to your phone, reverse 911, there's lots of different ways nowadays to receive warnings. However, what you have to think about as a spotter is redundancy. If one method fails, do you have a backup method? Weather radio, barring no major problems with the transmitter, which rarely can happen, do you have a way to receive a warning at 2 o'clock in the morning? What happens if your cell phone wasn't charged or the cell tower didn't get the warning or something like that? The weather radio is going to be the fastest, probably the most reliable source for receiving the warnings. As soon as the forecaster hits the send button to send out that warning, literally within seconds, it is being broadcast on your weather radio. Okay? Think about that tornado at 2 o'clock in the morning. That weather radio is going to wake you up out of bed and hopefully get you to act and get your family to a safe place. When you are in the market to purchase a no weather radio, make sure that you get a radio that has the same technology. Specific area message encoding. That allows you to program and customize your weather radio for just the county or counties that you want it to go off for. So for more information on the weather radio, please see the website listed at the bottom of the slide. Okay, like I mentioned, we operate 11 transmitters out of our office alone in Paducah, Kentucky. And when you receive your weather radio, you're going to have to figure out what transmitter to listen to. And then you'll figure out the frequency that you need to be tuned into. Every weather radio transmitter serves a number of different counties. And each of the counties has a specific county code. And that county code will be the code that you put into the weather radio so that it knows what counties you want the weather radio to alert you for. And all of these same codes and frequencies for every county in our forecast area is going to be available on this website. So if you're new to weather radios, go to this website and it should be able to walk you through what the codes and frequencies that you are going to need to know in order for your weather radio to work correctly. The second part of this video is going to be revolving around safety. Now, as a spotter, obviously your reports are very important to us. However, your safety is much more important. And that's why we dedicate this section of the presentation to help you be as safe as you possibly can out there. The key is being an observer. Don't be a participant. Really paying attention to what's going on around you will have a profound effect on your safety. Meaning, if you have situational awareness and you know when your safety is being threatened, you're going to ward off a lot of the problems that we're going to be going over here in the next couple of slides. There are a number of handouts that are available for you off our website, and I will list those at the very end of the presentation. The first item of business that we're going to be talking about is flash flooding. Most people don't realize the power of water, especially moving water. As little as 6 inches of water can cause you to lose control of your vehicle, especially if that water is swiftly moving. Even if you're walking in water that's 6 inches deep and it's swiftly moving, it can knock you off your feet. Keep in mind that most vehicles can be swept away in water that's only 1.5 feet to 2 feet deep. Nearly half of all flood fatalities are vehicle related, people believing that they're safer in their cars than turning around and going a different way. The key to keep in mind here is that you should never cross through water-covered roads and never drive around barricades. Keep in mind that it's a lot harder to recognize the dangers of flash flooding at night. You simply don't know how deep the water is. You have no idea what the road surface is like underneath the water. So the key here is never drive into a flooded roadway. If you come upon one that has water over it, stop, turn around, and go another way. You really have no way of knowing what is going on up ahead of you. I wanted to show you a few drastic examples of what flooding can do to the road surface. And the flood water can actually eat away at the road depending on the road condition and the amount of water and how long it's been there and all of that. And if you have no idea what you're getting into, you can end up in some serious trouble. Again, especially if the water was swiftly moving. In a couple of these cases, you would definitely be swept off the road and into the river or stream and be in some serious trouble. Okay, our next topic is lightning. And lightning is going to be one of those things that spotters are going to be most susceptible to because you're going to be in and around thunderstorms quite a bit doing your job as a spotter. And the key thing here is that there are certain things that you want to stay away from when there are thunderstorms around. The first thing is tall, isolated objects. If you are stopped to take a look at a storm, get a better look at a storm, don't park next to a tree or a power pole or a light pole, something like that, because lightning is attracted to tall objects. And even though you may not be the thing that the lightning actually strikes, even being next to a tall object that is struck can cause you some harm. Now, wide open areas. These are obviously bad places to be because if you're in a wide open area, what is the tallest thing out there? Well, that's obviously you. So you would now become the lightning target. So you want to stay out of farm fields, big sports fields, things like that. Water-related activities. If you are on the boat, at the lakes, or fishing on a beach, and there are thunderstorms nearby, you don't want to be in the water, and that is because that water conducts electricity. And if lightning strikes nearby, you'd be surprised how fast that current can go through the water and impact you. Open vehicles, if you're on a farm tractor, you're on a riding lawnmower, a golf cart, things like that, essentially you are out in the open and a perfect target for lightning as well. Unprotected buildings, things like carports, open garages, dugouts, again, if you're out in the elements, you have a greater chance of being impacted by lightning itself. Metal. Metal fences, bleachers, golf clubs, again, metal, like water, conducts electricity. And say, for instance, you were leaning up against a metal fence and lightning struck that fence, the electricity would flow through the fence and electrocute you as well. And lastly, telephones and showers. There have been cases, especially with corded telephones, not so much with cell phones and cordless phones. Definitely with showers, though. If lightning strikes your house and the electricity flows through the plumbing and can impact you in the shower. So if at all possible, you want to try to stay off corded telephones and showers until the storm has passed. There is a certain type of lightning called a bolt from the blue that is especially dangerous for spotters because you're not going to see it coming until it's too late. The fact of the matter is that lightning can strike outside of rainfall and can occur as far as 10 miles or more away from where the rain is falling. So you can see in both of these pictures, the lightning strike has arced well away from the actual storm itself, outside of the rain, outside of the cloud even. And that causes a lot of problems because a lot of people equate lightning with thunderstorms. It has to be raining in order to get struck by lightning, and that's simply not the case. Believe it or not, more than 50% of all lightning deaths have occurred after the storm has passed through. So you may be thinking, well, the storm is done. I'm going to go back outside and continue what I was doing, and that's when the lightning strikes. So always keep in mind that lightning can strike outside of the storm and sometimes as far as 10, even 20 miles from the storm. So keep that in mind as a spotter. I wanted to show you some statistics on actual reported lightning deaths from 2013. And what I want you to pay attention to is the location and the activity that the victim was doing when they were struck by lightning. And again, a lot of times people who are struck by lightning think that it has to be raining in order to be struck by lightning, and that again is not the case. If you wait 30 minutes or so after you hear the last thunder and you don't hear any more thunder after that, you're probably safe to go back outside and continue what you're doing. But as long as you're still hearing thunder, that lightning is close enough that it could strike you. And take a look at all the different things that these victims were doing. All of these things were outside activities, and that's where most people are killed, by doing outside activities. And who knows what was going on with that particular victim and what they were doing, if they knew there were storms nearby, if they didn't know there were storms nearby. Whatever the case may be, they were outside doing an activity and they were struck by lightning and were killed. Now, not everyone that is struck by lightning is going to be killed. A lot of people survive lightning strikes, and some people have been struck multiple times. And again, it just depends. There's a lot of different things that can happen when you get struck by lightning, and everybody's going to have a different reaction to that lightning strike. So how do you protect yourself from lightning? Well, the best thing and the easiest thing is to get inside a typical house. Any kind of building is going to protect you. As long as you're inside and away from windows and away from doorways, you're going to be fairly safe. Now, within your house, if you can stay away from electrical appliances and plumbing like we talked about before, that's going to be even better. And if possible, you may want to stay on the lowest floor of your home. And this can be especially beneficial if it's an extremely electrical storm. A lot of lightning is going on. And I know when I was a little girl, if there was a really, really bad storm, we did not stay on the second floor of the house. We got down to the first floor just in case. And here's an example of what can happen. This was a house that was struck by lightning. And I believe this was over in Europe. And you can see the damage that was done from that one lightning strike. So it can happen where lightning does strike the house and does quite a bit of damage. If you can't get to a house to get to safety from lightning, a vehicle is going to provide a reasonable second choice for you. The key is that it has to have a solid metal roof, so no convertibles or soft tops, as it may not protect you fully from a direct strike of lightning. Now, sometimes lightning can strike a vehicle and not much can happen at all. You may see a couple spots where you can see where it entered the vehicle, but essentially everything inside will remain just fine. Other times, lightning can strike the vehicle and it can blow out windows, blow out tires. So essentially, if you're in a major storm, the key here is to pull off, kind of wait for the storm to pass, try not to touch anything in the vehicle in case the car gets struck by lightning. The electricity can actually flow through electronics and metal objects within the vehicle and become electrified. And this was the case with a police officer, and his cruiser was struck by lightning, and he was at the time talking on the radio, and when lightning struck his car, the electricity went through his radio system, and his hands and his mouth were burned because of that electrical current running through that equipment. So be very careful. And again, this is probably a rare thing, but if you're in a highly electrified storm, just play it safe and wait for the storm to pass. We're going to be talking about hail safety next, and hail safety is pretty simple, and most of the time as a spotter, you're going to want to try to protect your vehicle from hail, and that means trying to get underneath some kind of canopy like a gas station or an overpass. That's obviously going to be your best hail protection. If you get inside a structure, make sure to try to stay away from windows because hail that is large and wind-driven can break windows very easily. Your spotting vehicle is going to provide protection from hail, but if you get any bigger than about golf ball size, you're going to start breaking windshields and back windows and things like that, and that's going to be a little more dangerous for you. Something to watch out for when you're out there driving as a spotter is for hail shafts. And hail is usually going to form within a particular section of the storm, and it's going to show up as this kind of milky white area within the storm. And so if you're driving along and see a hail shaft, that is definitely an area of the storm that you want to avoid.